In this module we will look at a very important concept of data frames called typecasting, that is changing data type of an attribute. Let's read in the Titanic dataset, a famous ship that drowned on its way to USA from UK. Assign this dataset to variable Titanic. You may come across a read error while using read CSV function. Don't worry. If that's the case, use letter R before the file path and you are good to go. Now let's look at the data types of each columns using info method. Here you will see the data type object for most of the columns. The problem is this object data type doesn't lead to any meaningful analysis of the data. Therefore, we need to convert the object data type into numerical or categorical for better understanding. Let's look at column age using value counts function. Here you see a question mark against 263 entries. It means that age of 263 passengers is not known. But due to this question mark, the column is read as object into the data frame. Let's try to convert this to an appropriate numeric data type. Use PD to numeric function with age column for this conversion. Set errors equals coerce to convert unknown entries to not a number. Now let's look at the data frame again using info method. Perfect. Now we have around 1000 valid entries for age column, while invalid entries are ignored in the count. The invalid entries can be seen using is NA function that will return Boolean series for valid and invalid records. To see the total invalid or unknown entries, we can append some function. The total invalid entries are 263, which added to the total valid entries of 1046 makes it equal to 1309, the total records in the data set. Let's now look at NA values in a new dataset and see how can we deal with these entries. Read in-game stats dataset and assign it to a variable called stats. Run stats function to see the dataset. It's a relatively small dataset with 7 rows and 5 columns in which you can easily see NA values. If you run is NA function with data frame variable, you will see a Boolean outcome at each element of the dataset based on whether the element has a valid entry or not. Let's now use drop NA function to drop all rows with NA values. And we are left with just 2 rows with all valid values. If you wish to drop just the NA values of a particular column, you can pass on subset argument to the drop NA function. In this case we choose lead column. Great! We just deleted the rows containing NA values of lead column.